How you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Let me get some music going. I had a whole plan for a number of things I found online, and short films and interesting things to watch. And then I see this video by the epic Nate 315, which he's been around for quite a while. I think I've been subscribed to him for quite a while myself. But hold on, he's got 1.26 million subscribers. Yeah, he's been here for a while. It concerns new Fallout 4 lore, or Fallout lore in general, but it's concerning Fallout 4, which, despite its many flaws and conflicting lore on certain things, is pretty good. Like, with the exception of having to fucking choose a faction, one ideologically opposed faction from everybody fucking else. With the exception of the flaws, Fallout 4 was a fairly enjoyable game. Like, overall, like, it was good. I had a lot of fun just being out there. Getting new lore from a source such as this, that may in fact touch on other games like Fallout 76, since it's a Bethesda title now and their lore deviates from Fallout 1 and 2's lore in many ways. It's not necessarily bad, it's just different. So, like, when Fallout 3 came out, and and they had the obelisk and the Krevekna and shit. Oh, the office building. I forget what the Dunwich building, and then the Dunwich Boars in Fallout 4. They have instead of just leaning into the aliens and some weird pop sci-fi stuff, Bethesda has gone full Monty into the Lovecraftian side of it, which is right up my alley, just as well. I like all that kind of good stuff. Yes. Okay. As I was saying, I love all that stuff, and I'm not mad that Bethesda is bringing its own feel to the lore. It's sometimes they really do good stuff. So, before we jump into Diablo 4 for the last night before the general opening, because it starts tomorrow, let's take a look at Fallout 4's new Lovecraftian prequel, that is coming from not a necessarily unlikely source, but one that you wouldn't like. Bethesda doesn't do their best to promote things that aren't directly related to the game, the video game. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and cut the music and it was already leading out anyway. That's good timing. This is Fallout 4's new Lovecraftian prequel. It's actually a lot, and I may end up starting up Diablo 4 at some point in the middle of the video. So we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, let's get started.
Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And just a couple of weeks ago,
Hi, Nate!
Fallout's Winter of Adam book released, and it's pretty groundbreaking. So, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, and that's probably quite a few people, considering Bethesda hasn't done much to market this from what I've seen, there actually exists an official Fallout tabletop role-playing game in the same model of Dungeons & Dragons. It was designed in collaboration between Bethesda and Modiphius Entertainment, a publisher who specializes in this genre.
I believe it's Modiphius
originally
that he's talking about.
In the summer of 2021. Well, on May 10th, 2023, less than a month ago, Bethesda and Modiphius just released a new sourcebook for the game, called Winter of Adam, which introduces a new campaign and a tremendous amount of new lore to go along with it. To give you a sense of the scale, the book is over 200 pages thick, and most of them are lore and story related, with the remainder being, well, rules. This new
Everybody loves thick,
or WoW, as
books.
I'm going to call it, campaign is set in the Commonwealth in the year 2286. Just 1 year prior to the events of Fallout 4, and it centers around a particularly rough incoming winter in Boston, the most brutal the region has seen in centuries. Some would say suspiciously brutal. As winter approaches, a particularly violent new sect of the Children of Adam have emerged, led by a deranged man who calls himself the last son of Adam, and who we later learn has been influenced by a network of Lovecraftian and eldritch forces. As you might imagine, the 200 pages that tell this dramatic story are just overflowing with new lore, which sheds light on previously unknown forces that have been influencing the Children of Adam, and the nature of the terrifying Lovecraftian gods that have been subtly present in the franchise since Bethesda's acquisition. Effectively acting as a prequel to Fallout 4, the tabletop game also helps explain how the Commonwealth fell into the state that we encounter it in. We learn how certain settlements were founded, and how other locations were completely abandoned. It elaborates on many of the circumstances of post-war Boston better than the original game in many ways. So, in today's video, I would like to essentially summarize the events of this new story, and particularly all the cool stuff it reveals about the Lovecraftian monsters in Boston for you. That way, if you're like me and don't have enough friends who are willing to dedicate 5 hours to a tabletop session with you, you'll still be up to speed on all the new content and developments. Towards the end, I'll also take some time to connect some of the events to the digital games. I'll share some interesting links with the Mothman cult in 76, and previously unmentioned stuff that occurred in Fallout 4, just to tie everything together. Note that I will provide a link in the description to the Winter of Adam book for you guys to purchase. This video is in no way, shape, or form being sponsored by Bethesda or Modiphius. They are not giving me a dime. Heck, they don't even respond to my emails, so you can rest assured this video was made free of perverse incentives. Everything here is of our own opinion. Furthermore, before watching this video, I would highly recommend that you guys check out our previous Children of Adam investigation, where we, well, investigated the Children of Adam, as well as our video on the Dunwich mystery. Together, those videos will get you guys up to speed on the state of the Wasteland's biggest rad cult, and all of Fallout's weird, occult, Lovecraftian stuff up until now. But with all that preamble out of the way, let's just get right into it. Grab an ice-cold glass of Beezer's lemonade, set your Protectatron to guard mode, and relax, as we dive into Fallout Winter of Adam. But first, a quick word from today's video sponsor. This video is being made possible by War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicular strategy and combat game on the market. From fast-paced, action-packed death matches to more tactical and strategic experiences, War Thunder has whatever you're looking for. With over 2,000 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from the 1920s to the 2020s, and an extensive customization system featuring hundreds of equipment items, camouflages, historical markings, and decals, you can easily recreate history or make your own. In War Thunder, every vehicle has been accurately modeled down to their individual components, with an astounding attention to detail, which is reflected in both their damage systems and handling. I found the flight mechanics to be particularly impressive. While I've never been trusted with tanks or aircraft carriers, I've actually flown a bit, and the aircraft handling is spot on. Lateral maneuvering, diving, it's all how it should be, and as I'm sure my flight instructor would tell you, I make the same mistakes when banking. When you're done with this video, check out War Thunder using my link. Available on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. You'll get a free bonus pack featuring multiple premium vehicles, a premium account, boosters, and more. Now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. Alright, so the Winter of Adam campaign experience is designed for 4 to 6 tabletop players, and there should be one Game Master presiding over the whole thing. The Game Master is the person who's kind of responsible for guiding the players through the story. They act as a sort of referee, making sure everyone's following the rules, and they generally get to create their own narratives in a way. They can create their own quests and side quests sometimes. They do stuff like that. It's a fun role. Instead of Game Master, I'm going to use the term Overseer. The book doesn't actually use that term, they call the role Game Master, but I just think Overseer sounds cooler. Anyway, as mentioned, the source book is over 200 pages long, and it consists of 4 primary chapters. The first chapter really just lays out the rules for the game, instructions for how the Game Master should set everything up, and some general backstory on the Commonwealth, which most Fallout 4 players will already know. The 3 remaining chapters provide a detailed outline for how the campaign should progress, and it's what we're really going to be focusing on today. The game kicks off with Chapter 2, titled Welcome to the Commonwealth, and it sets an eerie scene before providing further instructions. It's October of the year 2286, exactly 1 year prior to the events of Fallout 4, and the Commonwealth is on the brink of chaos as winter approaches. While since the bombs initially fell, Massachusetts has enjoyed a rather temperate climate, this winter is different. Technically, the season hasn't even arrived yet, but temperatures have already fallen below any in recent memory, and snows are beginning to appear for the first time in centuries. Though these conditions may sound like the ingredients for a Christmas wonderland, they are anything but. Settlements aren't prepared to deal with the cold. There aren't enough jackets and heating to go around, and even worse, crops are failing. At this point in time, the Minutemen remain a powerful force in the region. The Battle of Quincy, where the Gunners would nearly destroy the entire faction, save Preston Garvey and his small band of misfits, is still many months away, and they seem to have hundreds, if not thousands of men under the Minutemen banner. But even they can't get a hold on the situation. The lack of supplies and shelter to go around are turning more and more people to the business of raiding, and everything is just spiraling out of control. Players are encouraged to spend some time wandering around this collapsing world and interacting with it before initiating the main story. The rulebook provides the Game Master with a few possible side quest templates, and ultimately advises that you go through some of those before everyone's ready when they are to proceed to Diamond City, where events pop off. As our group arrives, we find the great green jewel of the Commonwealth in an extremely precarious state. Here's how the book describes things. Quote, as winter tightens its grip on the Commonwealth, crops fail and supply lines falter. Residents of the settlements that ring the outskirts of Boston flood into the city. Refugees seek the relative safety and security of Diamond City. But Diamond City is full to bursting, and Mayor McDonough has decreed that
And I would assume that Mayor McDonough is, well, yeah, I think he's been a synth for a long time, hasn't he? At this point.
The gates are closed to newcomers until enough supplies arrive to provide for everyone. End quote. Upon our arrival, we encounter a mass of desperate refugees and settlers packed outside of the city gates, begging for the chance to get in. People have been camped outside for so long that a whole new shantytown of sorts is growing just beyond the walls. Not unlike Freeside in New Vegas, only with more despair. A crowd consistently blocks the gates of the city,
everybody's got
hoping
their
to force
coffee,
their way in the next time they open.
their vittles,
But they never do.
and
Within this
and their
crowd,
smokables.
the players spot a wounded caravan guard. The guard is begging to be let through, saying they need to speak to the mayor immediately about a recently lost supply train. Should the heroes help this guard make their way through the crowd and to the intercom, they and the soldier will be allowed in, and granted a private audience with McDonough, where more information is revealed. Evidently, this guard was part of a much larger detachment that was protecting a literal supply train. They were running a locomotive to the city filled with supplies before it was suddenly attacked at the end of the line while they were offloading. Note that it's heavily implied that this is the same destroyed train we find on the tracks just outside of Boston in Fallout 4, and it's one of only a few references to functional rail travel being a thing in the post-war world. Nonetheless, the caravan guard mentions that just a couple days prior to the attack, they picked up a suspicious Children of Adam priest, who kept to himself and wasn't trusted by the security detail. The guard insists that they suspect their attackers were simple opportunistic raiders, but isn't entirely sure if the priest had anything to do with it, and doesn't really know what happened. It's at this point that Mayor McDonough offers our team a deal. If the players can travel to the train's ruins and investigate the attack, as well as bring back any leftover supplies, he'll grant us full Diamond City citizenship and a permanent place to wait out the winter. This begins the quest, the train job. Note that while the exact location of the train is never 100% specified, my theory is that this is the destroyed train we encounter just beyond Overland Station in Fallout 4. It meets the description of having been derailed near a supply depot, and it seems long enough to have supported a major amount of supplies. As we arrive at the site, which is given away by a thick column of black smoke on the horizon, we'll find the area being picked clean by a group of lightly armed scavengers. The scavengers themselves will emerge from the wreckage and engage in a standoff with our group, declaring this to be their find and demanding that we bug off. When pressed, they'll also admit that they're not responsible for the attack, that this was the doing of some nearby raiders. From here, we can either just start blasting and drive the scavs away, or convince them to leave in peace and allow us to continue our investigation. As we search through the wreckage, we'll eventually stumble upon a tied-up, robed man named Brother Landon. This is the child of Adam the surviving guard warned us about. Evidently, he was restrained by the raiders during their raid, and simply left like this. Should we decide to free him, he'll reveal some rather ominous information about his own journey. Evidently, Brother Landon hitched a ride on this train in the hopes of visiting what he calls a great prophet.
My opinions of the Children of Adam conflict heavily. I trust them more than the Scientologists. I mean the Hobologists, though. But
named the last son of Adam, who is amassing a congregation on the edges of the glowing sea. He's hesitant to reveal too much about this last son character.
yeah, some of them can be alright, but a lot of them are just like straight up fucking crazy like everybody else in the wasteland.
With a strange symbol, a triangle with a thick circle in the middle of it, bisected by a vertical bar. Landon claims to have
That's
created
just
this
the Deathly
symbol
Hallows,
and
man.
present it to the last son of Adam, in hopes that the prophet will adopt it as his own.
So
quick.
So now you're looking for an invisibility cloak, a ring, and a wand. Good luck.
Pause right here. So, Brother Landon is claiming that he hopped on this train to visit some strange prophet named the last son of Adam in hopes of joining him and giving him a new symbol. I have some notes on this. For one, if you saw our previous Children of Adam investigation, you'll know that in Fallout 3's Broken Steel DLC, we can meet a domesticated feral ghoul named the son of Adam in the custody of a small congregation just outside of Megaton. As far as I can tell, Fallout 3's son of Adam and this last son of Adam are totally unrelated characters, and their similar titles are just coincidence.
You better hope so.
We'll have more to say on the last son in a bit. Furthermore, the symbol that Landon describes is interesting, to say the least. A triangle with a fixed circle in the center bisected by a vertical line. This is hilarious because said description perfectly matches the symbol of the Deathly Hallows in the Harry Potter universe.
Yes.
The Deathly Hallows, according to the books, are 3 legendary artifacts that, when united, could make the bearer the
Who knew it would go this
master
way?
of death and extremely powerful. The 3 shapes, the triangle, the circle, and the line, are meant to symbolize the 3 items. It's possible that Landon's use of this symbol is just a neat reference by Bethesda and Modiphius. Or maybe it's a little bit deeper than that. You see, at several occult sites throughout the Fallout franchise, particularly at Point Lookout and at the Mothman camps in Fallout 76, we can find a strange triangle carved into totems. It's missing the line and circle, but the presence of the triangle is consistent across several locations. Maybe Landon's symbol has something to do with this tradition. Whatever the case, we'll have much more to say about this mystery and the Adamites later on. For now, let's continue with our story. After freeing this captive and recovering what supplies we found, we can either head back to Diamond City, or follow some tracks to hunt down the raiders responsible for this attack. Doing so isn't necessary for the story, but will grant us some additional supplies and improve our relationship with Diamond City. Upon returning to the Great Green Jewel, Mayor McDonough will welcome us with open arms and thank the players for buying his people a little more time. True to his word, he'll also grant us full citizenship in the town, as well as a residence to call home. Alas, we will have little time to relish in our victory, as the mayor has another job for his new heroes.
Always.
You see, as we approaching winter and increase in raider activity render Diamond City's supply lines less and less reliable, the City Council has devised a creative solution.
Naturally.
They believe that Boston's massive subterranean sewer tunnel network can be used as a new trade route, safe from both the raiders and radioactive snows. However,
This doesn't sound like it's going to end
said
well.
sewers need to be cleared of the various mutants and nefarious entities that occupy them. This is where we come in. McDonough offers our group a total of 500 caps, as well as an assortment of supplies, if you can help Diamond City fortify a new supply line through the sewers. Beginning the quest, Cleansing Fire. Initially, this mission is quite true to its job description. We enter the sewers through a nearby manhole and begin pushing our way through hordes of feral ghouls, squatting raiders, and all sorts of other typical wasteland.
Get out of my yard!
However, after we've made our way fairly deep into the sanitation tunnels, the players will stumble upon 2 female members of the Children of Adam, Esther and Eliza, who can be found tinkering with a couple of robots. So long as our group isn't aggressive, they won't be either.
Ma,
and the 2
there are
girls
ghouls
will
at the
explain their
door.
presence in
What do
the
we
back
do?
place. Evidently, Esther and Eliza are members of a small Children of Adam congregation down here, led by a peaceful, elderly man who goes by the name Brother Schumacher. They've been attracted to these tunnels thanks to the presence of an undetonated atomic bomb.
They said that from the children of Adam. They just want to talk.
Which the children have now built.
They said they have free reading material.
Worshipping the device. Assuming that our demeanor remains peaceful, we'll be
We'll get some ice cream.
I
don't feel comfortable here. They make me nervous.
And bask in the glory of Adam. When we encounter Schumacher himself, the man will be friendly and carry a modest demeanor. He'll offer to explain the children of Adam's faith in cosmology to the players, subtly hoping to win over some converts. He describes their belief in something that he calls the division. The idea that within every atom inside of each person lies an entire new universe, just waiting to be activated by the fires of an atomic blast.
Just like
already
that.
Explored the Adamite religion quite a bit in our previous video, though, so I'm not going to dwell too much on that.
Children of Adam are fucking.
Is when the brother warns us
They're
of
crazy.
another hostile sect of Adamites who are known to be aggressive and whom Schumacher utterly despises. He claims that on the edges of the glowing sea, a madman calling himself the last son of Adam has declared himself to be Adam's prophet, and is using violence and intimidation to build a power base and win influence for himself. This is, of course, the same character that captive priest on the train mentioned earlier, and Schumacher makes it clear that this last son of Adam means business. He goes out of his way to convince players that his sect has nothing to do with that deranged prophet, and that he used such coercive tactics with nothing but disgust. And though this hasn't stopped the last son from sending missionaries over to his church and trying to convince his group to join him. Schumacher warns that we may encounter the last son's evil proselytizing missionaries deeper in the sewers as we continue our mission, and encourages us to proceed with caution. While the last son's men haven't been hostile to his sect yet, he doubts that they'll exercise such restraint when encountering non-Adamites.
Even if Schumacher,
has to say about
even if this Schumacher guy is on the up and up, we're still gonna have to take him out at the end of the quest because Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. I mean, come on, you still can't forgive him for that.
Quote, Brother Schumacher merely wants to create a refuge for the children of Adam looking to worship in solitude and peace. They are not pacifists, but they mean no ill will towards the Commonwealth. The last son of Adam is a secretive man who prefers to work through others. He spends a lot of time in the glowing sea, and the radiation he willingly ingests is warping his mind in strange ways. The glowing sea is the deadliest area in the Commonwealth. Some of the last son's acolytes regularly visit Brother Schumacher's church, trying to recruit him to their sect. He refuses them and sends them away with food. The last son's acolytes patrol the tunnels beyond the church, with strange, burrowing monsters at their side. Schumacher wishes they would go home and not return. Now, despite Schumacher's friendliness, his little sect presents a bit of a problem. You see, if we're trying to establish a trade route through these sewers, we can't have an active radiation-emitting bomb just lying in the middle of the place.
Yeah.
And it's sort of our duty to take care of it. But trying to disable the device would provoke the ire of this otherwise peaceful group, leaving us with a couple of options. We can simply start blasting, exterminate the sect, and disable the nuke by force, which will technically count as solving the problem and allow us to complete our quest. We can also stealthily deactivate it behind their backs if we have the right skills, or if someone in the group has a high enough charisma stat.
I feel like the stealth roll, or the stealth direction to this would be, I mean, that'd be a pain in the ass. It'd be it would be like, I mean, it would be interesting though. I mean, I'd go and, I guess, talk to this son of Adam, I guess. Let's see what he says.
He can just explain our predicament to Schumacher himself, to which he'll offer an interesting solution. The priest knows of secret chambers which can bypass his church and allow Diamond City to establish a trade route without intersecting his humble abode. Only problem is that these secret passageways are also known to the last Son of Adam guy, who uses them for his own nefarious schemes. We'll have to fight through his hostile acolytes in order to properly establish a safe connection through this alternate route.
So there's no talking to the Son
Something
of
that
Adam.
Schumacher doesn't mind one bit, and will serve as our first potential violent encounter with the last Son's troops. Alright, let's pause right here, because I want to point something out. You may recall in our previous Adamite investigation, I played the following quote from Piper, where in her companion dialogue, she may mention almost being killed by Adamites while pursuing a story in the sewers nearby Bunker Hill. Take a listen. I suppose so.
Hey, I'm not one to judge. Honestly, it's just nice to not be doing it alone for a change. My line of work, things tend to get pretty hairy. I've been shot at, poisoned, nearly executed. Heck, and they recently they called the lockup in Diamond City the Piper. Anything for a story, I suppose.
Seems that execution didn't quite pay.
I've been working on the story about radiated drinking water in Bunker Hill to trace the water back to its source through these old sewer tunnels, and what do I find? The children of Adam, setting up like they own the place. Unfortunately, they found me and made us quick. Turned out they were fond of reporters.
Oh, shit.
Sacrifice, Adam, me. You in there, about to get the boot in this huge sewer pipe. Suddenly, blurt out, Adam, he reveals himself. And they buy it. They pull me back from the ledge. It took me a couple more days before I managed to sneak away.
This quote always bothered me, because in Fallout 4, there are no Adamites in the sewers, and it's unclear who exactly she was talking about. However, this little quest from Winter of Adam gives us a potential explanation, implying that she was likely attacked by the Last Son's acolytes, seeing as his men are specifically mentioned to be patrolling these sewers and hunting non-believers. Anyway, just an interesting little thing I got. Regardless of whatever course of action we decide to choose, after deactivating the bomb or pushing our way through a new passageway, after doing so, the quest will be completed, and the heroes can report back to Diamond City for their rewards. Now, I kind of alluded to this earlier in the video, but however your group decides to finish this mission, and depending on the choices that you make during it, there will be some consequences in the future. Like, if you decided to attack Schumacher's friendly Adamites, the survivors will end up joining the last Son of Adam, and that's gonna come back to bite you, and stuff like that. If I were to explore every consequence of every decision, though, this video would be like 6 hours long, and I really do just want to get to the Lovecraft stuff. So, for the sake of time constraints, let's just pretend we were nice to Schumacher, and just cleared the alternate passage. Also, just keep in mind, there's a lot of choice in this game, and I'm not going to be pointing out every single branching path, but I think you'll be able to inference it. Anyway, after reporting back to Diamond City and claiming your rewards from Mayor McDonough, the Game Master is instructed to encourage players to pursue some side
I always liked the look of the railway
quests
rifle, but it
and
just
explore
never
the
did
world
enough
a bit more
damage for me
before
to
proceeding
take
with
it
the story.
seriously.
The book suggests that the Overseer make out some quests about helping other settlements linked to your new sewer trade routes.
Excuse me. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go stretch real quick and smoke a cigarette. I've been up since early this morning, so like I said, I started this one on a whim because like this is brand new lore for Fallout 4, and I'm excited for the the Lovecraftian stuff as well. So, we'll be right back.
All faster tonight.
Nice.
I've been like fucking like 7 straight days.
Hell yeah, it's good money. All right, guys. Oh shit, the coffee.
These dogs don't do that shit, gentlemen. You call them, they come in, they don't stand it. No, they do it.
Hell yeah. All right. Get my coffee back. All right. Let's continue.
Or come up with some supply securing quests for the coming winter, but it's not super specific. Again, the Game Master is allowed a tremendous amount of creative freedom. Whatever the case, when the GM...
You know what would have been a good thing in the original game is a full-on weather system. Like if you had like snow and wind and rain, not just the glowing sea thing, but like there were periods of time where it was like a nuclear winter type stuff. Because it's been a while. You know what I'm saying? Like there should be. Generally in the clearer zones there should be some return to normal weather patterns. It was a little bit better in 76, but still. Let's continue.
is ready to proceed.
Yes.
They're instructed to
Nice
guide
ass
the
water.
heroes to the Boston harbor, where they encounter a beached vessel known as the USS Germination, run aground on the now frozen shores, with a camp of Minutemen nearby. Here's how the book describes this vessel's horrifying.
And it may be from this game, but that's very Wasteland 2 or 3, probably 3, because in Colorado. But yeah, this is more like what I thought like parts of Boston would be like, so far north. It shouldn't be sunny and fucking growing weather year round. Like, no. Especially if you like, even if you could suspend belief, you spend a lot of time in game. Like, you know, at least a year's worth of seasons should pass. Yeah.
Story. Quote, the USS Germination is a waste freighter, repurposed to be a thriving and self-sustaining farm populated by a few dozen settlers. The farm's rich compost fermented over decades at sea, making a green space possible. Earlier in the winter, though, the freighter washed inland and almost instantly froze in the ruined Boston harbor. Run aground, the once secure settlement lacked protection against looting raiders, flesh-hungry super mutants, and other starving factions. In their time of need, the last son of Adam visited the settlement's leader, a brilliant but ethically bankrupt geneticist named Dr. Yarrow. The last son offered Yarrow a food source capable of replacing the freighter's dying farm. A strange purple fungus that grows delicious fruit even in the coldest climates when planted inside a frozen human.
Ew.
In exchange, Yarrow has helped the last son with his genetic experiments, leading to the creation of highly mutated beings that serve the church, like Aradoid freaks and the Gigapede and its hatchlings.
What?
End quote. The book goes on to explain that thanks
That
to
sounds
the
cool as fuck.
crop,
Wanna shoot it?
the largest food, if you call it that, reserves in the Commonwealth.
Hell yeah.
And while no one knows the horrifying
Look at that
secret
fucking
of how it's
derelict
planted,
freighter.
people are beginning
Ripe
to
for
develop
exploring.
suspicions.
And looting.
Acquire the necessary
And shooting.
remains to-
And grenading.
The Germination's crew has been abducting scavengers and traders from across the wasteland, further disrupting trade and arousing suspicion. And folks are beginning to take notice of all these disappearances. Furthermore, this new flesh fruit slowly drives all who eat it mad. The book refers to the condition as famished fever, and while non-chronic exposure, like just eating one or two of the fruits will only leave you sick for a day or so, continuing to eat this stuff for prolonged periods will cause a person's thoughts to grow consumed with the idea of getting more of it. It creates a sort of addiction, and as it progresses, one's skin grows paler, their eyes become bloodshot, and they even lose the ability to properly communicate with language. Simply speaking, with short grunts, as all of their energy becomes invested in the acquisition of more fruit. In the latest...
So, very much like koalas in real life, where eucalyptus gives them so little nutrition that they sleep like 18 to 20 or 22 hours a day, and the remainder of their day is spent finding the eucalyptus, not because of any nutritional value, but because it gets them high. So, I guess it's sort of like this, but no evolutionary pass, I guess. I don't know.
Stages, people even begin to develop.
Or maybe it becomes an evolutionary pass. Maybe this is manipulation, yes, but new things, right? Well, we'll see.
Horrifying mutations. Needless to say, most of the Germination's crew is infected with the chronic form of this disease, behaving like zombies and arousing more suspicion from the wasteland. Though the Germination's leader, Dr. Yarrow, remains in good health, as he has secretly opted not to eat any of this nonsense. Anyway, this is a
he's definitely a scientist and ethically corrupt as well. Yes, okay, he does fit the bill. See, they look like they sounded like punga fruit to me, but the whole corpse thing.
I'm going to skip over so much stuff, but to make a long story short, because again, I think this video will end up being quite long enough, after chatting with the nearby encampment of Minutemen and watching them get sick due to the fruit, the heroes have their own questions and begin investigating what's going on. Fun fact, and this isn't exactly related to the narrative I'm discussing now, but the Minutemen are apparently here to guard the shores from mutants that come out of the water. They report to have recently taken down a giant squid that had 36 arms and 4...
One of the other things that I'm very fucking pissed off at Bethesda for, they copped out on the motherfucking sea monster. They straight copped out on it. Even with fucking Far Harbor, they fucking straight up copped out. It's really a fucking shame, because that would have been a nice piece de resistance for the game, to fight like a Kraken or a Moby Dick. Or something, or a real, absolute, utterly monstrous version of a queen, of a Mirelurk queen, but like absolutely hitting the fucking skybox and everything, or breaking it, sort of like Cloverfield. Not the little one, but the big one that popped above the clouds type shit. There's all kinds of stuff, but they could have done, but no, they copped the fuck out. And didn't you have fucking like dolphins and and sperm whales and fucking like other species just like with chunks taken out of them? Like, you fucking baited us, man. And you copped out. Boo. Boo, I say, sirs, boo.
Human legs, which confirms that the seas of the Fallout universe are indeed home to all sorts of horrors beyond human comprehension. But I digress. After running around and warning all of the nearby settlements that have consumed the stuff, our heroes request entry to board the ship, so we might continue our investigation. The infected sailors, of course, tell us no, and we have to sneak aboard, bribe them, or just storm the vessel outright. After doing so, we'll encounter some resistance from both the sailors and, surprise, surprise, the last son of Adam's men, but we'll eventually corner Dr. Yarrow, who confesses to the true nature of the plant, that it's grown from corpses, turns people into zombies, and that he got it from the last son of Adam. Though, while this mad geneticist is clearly ethically compromised, he's close to developing a sort of cure that would both restore the infected and make the plant safe to eat, and even allow it to grow in actual soil. From here, we basically have two options. We can either take none of his nonsense and just blast him on the spot, which will result in the Commonwealth falling into an actual famine and have broader consequences on the game, or help him see through this cure, which has the opposite effect, radically improving Boston's food situation and positioning...
you're allowed to be murder hobos if you want.
...to survive the winter intact. Whatever choice we make, after concluding our deal with Yarrow, the quest will be completed. And Chapter 2, or really the first act of the story, Welcome to the Commonwealth, will conclude. Now, at this point, the sourcebook once again recommends that players proceed with some miscellaneous side quests invented by the Game Master, and interact with some settlements. Interestingly, though, at the end of Act 1, the book contains a rather exhaustive list of the major communities in the Commonwealth, of course including places like Diamond City and Good Neighbor, and giving them some potential side quest ideas, but it also includes several settlements that did not appear in Fallout 4. And I feel like this video wouldn't be complete if I didn't take some time to introduce you to those, as the abandoned ruins of some of these sites can still be found in Fallout 4, and they're just pretty interesting places altogether. So, without further ado, here are the new communities. The first place on our list that I would like to mention is the Mirage, an awe-inspiring tower of lights pulled by a massive herd of Brahmin.
Oh, that's cool.
This roaming settlement touts itself as a casino paradise on wheels, offering luxury and entertainment to those lucky enough to find it, and affluent enough to stay. Stemming from a population of Vault Dwellers who were forced out of their home, their reactor was the only thing the invaders allowed them to keep. They detonated the door on the way out, and they've been nomadic ever since. The permanent citizens of the Mirage, the descendants of those original Vault Dwellers, live comfortably in their rolling fortress. They rely on Brahmin not only as their means of...
So... they... I don't want to say stole, but... Isn't that the, what was that movie by Peter Jackson where they had the cities on wheels, like London was on wheels, and the girl with the knife who stabbed or tried to kill Agent Smith, that was her dad in the movie, and yeah, that kind of reminds me. I mean, Rolling Casino is kind of cool though. If I was a player, I might consider taking over. Don't shoot the Brahmin. Oh my God, how would you even do that? How would you even do that and keep like the function of the rolling casino from existing? Maybe I just like do some like nice quests for them and get a permanent room at the casino, or I could like fast travel to wherever I wanted or whenever I wanted. That would be cool.
Transportation, but also to power their reactor. Or at least they did. That was until the harsh winter took its toll on their herd. Now, they're secretly working out a deal with the last son of Adam.
No, as security, they'd probably be like, you can't just fast travel here. But maybe in the closest town to where we might be. You know, you get an approximate drop destination to where you could just hoof it the rest of the way to wherever the casino is. Kind of dangerous to be able to fucking just like teleport directly into the casino. That'd be like a security breach.
Involving indentured servants, as they call them, who are forced.
The idea of a moving casino or a rolling fortress is appealing. And I like the idea that it's pulled by Brahman because it encourages a husbandry industry. Not only for actual transport, but also fostering population, so you maintain your steerage and you probably getting meat and milk, such as it is from them. And yeah, like I can see a whole industry coming out of that. I mean, that's cool.
To work on Volt-Tech exercise bikes to keep the power. There are 5 main rules at the Mirage all visitors must abide by. Rule number 1, you must spend cash while inside.
Right.
There is no
Makes
entry
sense.
fee, but you have to keep spending once you're in. 2, you may not tell anyone about what you see or what happens at the Mirage. What happens here stays here.
Yeah.
3, guests are only allowed to stay for 72 hours. Then you have to take a break.
That's cool.
4, no violence of any kind will be tolerated. And 5, cheaters will be punished harshly. Tensions are high within the Mirage,
Fair.
during its tour of the Commonwealth. Business has been falling precipitously. Emissaries of the last son openly cheat at cards, all the while breathing down the necks of the management. As the cult's demand for recruits grows harder and harder to feed, guests begin to disappear.
Oh.
Few residents are aware of the corrupt deal that sustains this enterprise. Most still believe that the church members are simply guests, providing supplies in exchange for shelter and a place to preach. Suspicions are rising, though, as propaganda pamphlets litter the alleys and hidden cameras are found watching for marks. Those down on their luck are casually led to a secret hold, where they are worked to exhaustion before being given over to the Adamites for forced conversion. The Mirage maintains its exclusivity by limiting the time visitors can stay and distancing itself from other factions. So it's no surprise that the residents are growing suspicious of their...
See? Here I was. Hey, yeah, I can get a free room as long as I do some jobs for them. They sound like a classy, upstanding joint. And then they go in there, they're working with the fucking Adamites to fucking for slave labor and fucking forced conversion. Okay. Alrighty. Then I guess I'm taking over, boys. And more than likely shutting it down. Well, maybe not shutting down. Maybe I can install something better. But you guys are going. Let's continue.
Leader's strange alliance with the Adamites. We meet an assortment of gamblers and roughnecks at various casino and bar settings throughout the tower, until our player characters are inevitably selected for some additional screening. Depending on the decision that our heroes make and how the Game Master decides to handle things, this wandering casino...
And as soon as we find out what's going on, the Freebird song starts fucking playing, and I kind of go hazy, and motherfucking people die. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, it's a Kingsman scene, and then 45 minutes later, we're gonna have to find somebody to run the Mirage and actually keep it going in a sensible direction, or it's gonna crash.
May go dark and just completely disappear under the elements and pressures, or eventually peacefully leave the Commonwealth under new management at the end of the game. The choice is ultimately ours. The next location is called Big Top. Somewhere in the Commonwealth, a community of ghouls and synths gather beneath a huge, decrepit tent, calling themselves the Freaks, spelled with a Q. This brand of itinerant circus performers find themselves trapped in the Commonwealth as the atomic winter sends in and blocks their escape. Unsurprisingly, the Children of Adam were the first group to extend an offer of support. The Freaks are struggling every day to survive the harsh Boston winter, so they find themselves considering a dark proposition. Distrusted by humans and lacking long-term infrastructure, the Freaks who were originally circus performers find themselves desperate. As their hovel attracts more and more outcasts, they're scrambling to shelter the new refugees and have no long-term plan. Despite their bleak situation, the Freaks keep morale high with regular performances. The center of the Big Top serves as their main...
So, none of these people decided to go to the railroad or the Minutemen. I mean, there's even that the settlement over there, like it's an old motel and pool, and I actually made my base there because there are some plants that grow in the pool, and it's a fairly well defendable place, and I liked the view, and I think there were friendly ghouls, and yeah. So yeah. Why didn't they go there? There are a couple places they could have gone besides the Children of Adam.
Stage. Carnival Row is an adjacent tent city providing additional shelter for refugees. Perhaps you'll meet the prescribed carnies like Madame Atom, Brawny Bill, and the Inked Lady, or whatever original weirdos your game master might imagine. The settlement has no allies or potential trade partnerships due to its limited resources and the prejudices faced by its leaders. A schism begins to form. The synths who do not require regular food or water are standing firm against the Children of Adam's offer for help, while their ghoul friends find it increasingly tempting. Without outside intervention, this grim circus will either quietly die or fall under the control of the last son of Adam. Or, maybe, just maybe, survive long enough to get out when spring arrives. Next on our list is Beatsville, a commune of...
I would, there are a couple spots I would have to go through all my options, but I would definitely, like, that seems like... See, like, I always go for the more diplomatic options. Not always. I'll go for violence when it's needed, like, with the Mirage. Straight up, we're going ham. But with the Carnival, And if I guess this is before, so most people won't know about Acadia, or is it Arcadia? What is it? The synth. Oh yeah, they should be there. They can go to the synth colony on Far Harbor, and the ghouls with them too. Especially if we've well, no, again, this is before the Lone One or the Vault Dweller. Shit. I don't know. Like, that is a difficult. I would have to. Maybe the people that we just helped out, that colony that was on the boat that was set adrift. If we helped them out and got the food and everything, then we could probably set them up with those people to help bring the place back to livable standards until the winter passes.
New Age beatniks located in an old junkyard. The people of Beatsville, who call themselves Beats, aim to bring art, music, and literature to the Commonwealth for the betterment of the
Doesn't
people.
sound like it ends well.
Nestled in what most would call a valley of junk, the Beats see their ramshackle village as an architectural triumph and an ephemeral, ever-changing art exhibit. They repurpose trash to create treasures, such as newly woven clothing, unique jewelry, and useful ceramics. However, they only survive by keeping a low profile. As a pacifist community with no means of protecting themselves, they can only hide and negotiate to protect themselves. They also lack an actual organizational structure or hierarchy to address the problems of the community, leading to a stagnation in its culture. The nuclear winter has, of course, further complicated matters. Their trade has been interrupted. Their anonymity and isolation, which has kept them safe so far, is no longer enough to protect them. All this gives rise to an internal debate. Stay hidden or seek allies. During the events of Winter of Adam, Beatsville is currently unaligned with any major Commonwealth faction. But both the Children of Adam and the Minutemen are actively searching for the hidden settlement. The Church sees the minds of these creative artisans as potential assets, and they have set a bounty for information on the settlement's location, which the players can collect. The Minutemen are interested in recruiting the Beats as performers and craftsmen.
I would do that.
For the sake
There we
of
go.
morale. Clearly, the Beats will have to
This is
compromise
also
their
I would
suspicions to
see.
survive.
That's another thing.
Hopefully, you can
The traveling carnival, I'd probably hook them up with the Minutemen too. The Minutemen always need help, and anything you could do. I mean, you know that the fucking bad times are coming, even still. For the Minutemen, they're going to dissolve, but I mean, you could at least, in your game, give them the best possible chance to survive, like in the coming years.
Now, this is by no means confirmed, but my suspicion is that Big John Salvage in Fallout 4, a large wrecking yard just southeast of Boston proper, was once Beatsville. It's the site of the old settlement. I say this because it fits the profile. It too is a large junkyard, and it seems to match the artwork description. Lots of waste crates and stuff stacked together. When we visit it in Fallout 4, it's occupied by a faction of super mutants, which may imply an unfortunate fate being the canon for Beatsville.
Right.
Nonetheless, that's just my theory. Moving on. The final of the new settlements is a place known as Mechminster Abbey. The Sisters of the Forge, a group of aging blacksmiths and mechanics, all women, run the Mechminster Abbey out of an abandoned pre-war church. They try their best to offer real material support to the people of the Commonwealth in exchange for a reasonable tithe. However, they're currently struggling with extremely strained food supplies and very weak defenses due to a recent Frost feral ghoul attack and an uptick in use of prohibited Kens among settlers. Within their church is a large forge, which they call the pulpit. Their armory is
That's pretty
the
funny.
confessional, and they're led by a Reverend Riveter. It's all very metal. They are so vehemently opposed to the Church of Adam that they forbid any faithful individuals from entering their grounds, even the peaceful sects. The player's actions will ultimately determine the fate of the Abbey. It can fall to ghouls or the children of Adam, but...
So, in this case, I'd probably choose to have like Diamond City send an emissary, or an emissary from like maybe Diamond City Security, to the church and be like, okay, so make me some better security armor and let's see about your weapons, and then we'll talk. And it would turn into a quest for getting materials for the armorers to make the equipment for you and everything. Possibility you would get some armor of your own, to spread the word of the new equipment that Diamond City is sporting, and they would get their protection, or Diamond City's protection, and materials and food help. And also, if you've already helped that the one scientist fix what was going on with that fruit, then you should be able to make things like this work by this point.
With time, it will fall. There's no saving it. The implication seems to be that this group would ultimately spawn the Forged, which is a group of raiders we can encounter in Fallout 4 who are held up at Saugus Ironworks and Dunwich Boars, which casts an interesting light on their spiritual leanings, though this connection is far from confirmed. The Forge make no mention of churches, and many of their leaders are dudes, which seems out of line, so ultimately it's unclear. But whatever the case, those are our 4 new settlements. We have the roaming settlement known as the Mirage, a great traveling circus called Big Top, the commune of Beatsville, and this Mechminster Abbey. After listing all of the settlements, the game proceeds to Act 2 of the main storyline. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get...
Yeah, like, if it's the fate of the Mechminster Abbey to fall, then if it were to fall in line with canon, then the heroes of this game convinced the nuns of Mechminster Abbey to come to Diamond City, or if you're Raider leanings, then they went on to become the Forged down the line, or any other number of Raider gangs or entities in the Wasteland.
Started. Act 2 of the campaign is called The Winter War, and it's quite short, though also rather dynamic. It begins really any time the Game Master considers the player ready, after resolving the USS Germination quest. By now, October has long passed, and the Commonwealth has entered the harshest months of winter. The rivers have frozen over, the lands packed under feet of snow, and blizzards present an ever-ominous threat for those who dare travel. At this point in the game, players should have also already visited and established relationships with most of the settlements, having completed at least some of their side quests. This chapter revolves around the newest scheme developed by the last son of Adam. He's begun sending parties of his acolyte warriors and deranged mutants to assault and just generally bring terror to settlements across the Commonwealth. Most notably, the aggressive Adamites are in possession of a particularly resilient monster, a giant, airplane-sized centipede, appropriately known as the Gigapede. The Last Son's reason for sending these horrible raiding parties is simple: to break the will of the Wasteland and force Boston's communities to accept him as their savior. It's mustache-twirly evil stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Game Master is instructed to begin this second act at any settlement of their choice once the heroes are there, and to have the evil Adamites initiate their assault suddenly alongside the Gigapede.
Execute
There are pretty
Order
dynamic instructions
66.
within the source book for how this attack will play out, and how the locals will respond depending on the settlement the Game Master chose and the player's relationship with that settlement, but generally the pattern is the same. The Centipede and Acolyte show up, violate a bunch of the Geneva Conventions, and the players join the defense. After taking care of most of the Adamites and reducing the Gigapede's health a bit, the invaders will retreat, and whatever town you're in begins licking its wounds. Someone will eventually capture one of the retreating Adamites, and they'll reveal their grand plan of just mercilessly attacking Commonwealth civilians in hopes of reducing their will. The captured Adamite will speak of an impending day of division, which his master will soon usher in, but otherwise will try not to reveal much. From here, the players are encouraged to take some time to warn the wasteland of what's coming. The Overseer is instructed to be creative with this task, devise objectives to help the settlements fortify, and even be proactive and take the fight to various Adamite camps across the map. There are some specific side quest prompts where you head to what seems to be the Museum of Freedom to acquire some specialized gear and make some new friends, but the direction doesn't really change much. Eventually, the Gigapede and
Have a good day.
Adamite army will return and attack the heroes at whatever settlement they're in. This assault is much bigger than the first, with dozens, if not hundreds of assailants and a legion of new mutants. This seems to be the Last Sun's big push. The book instructs the Overseer to read the following passage, which is just too good for me
Diamond
to
City
ignore.
looks nice under all that
Quote,
snow.
The winter stillness breaks with the sudden shout of, "Contact! They're here!" A moment later, a roar of gunfire rips through the air, followed by the ground tearing open as the Gigapede rises. The large Children of Adam army charges from all directions. The Adamites' booted feet crunch heavily over blankets of green, glowing snow. The Last Sun soldiers do not fear the snow's radioactivity, they embrace it. The settlement's defenders crouch behind cover and cry out the enemy's advancing positions. In the moments before the battle begins, hot breath in the cold air forms steam clouds that give away people's positions. The chaos makes it difficult to tell friend from foe. The oncoming hordes of Adamites seem endless. Defenders grow grim, realizing how outnumbered they are. The Children of Adam charge with their fully committed forces, wave after wave, meaning to crash over the settlement like a frozen hurricane. Stories of old battles come to mind. The Battle of Anchorage, perhaps with armored soldiers advancing through the snow. Truly, it seems, war never changes. End quote. Depending on the choices you've made up until this point, the settlements you've befriended, the allies you've made, this battle will either be a walk in the park or borderline unwinnable. If your group's been really proactive, if you guys have helped all the settlements and whatnot, then dozens upon dozens of your allies may show up to equalize this fight, like it's the last scene of Avengers Endgame. Or you may find those
Wastelanders,
joining the attackers is the benefit of the choosers. There are several different ways to win or lose this battle. And yes, you can lose, but for the purposes of this video, we're just gonna assume you come out on top and rout the attacking army and defeat the Gigapede with good old-fashioned steel. At this point, victory will be ours, and Act 2 will come to an end. I know this act seems rather short compared to Part 1, but most of it is supposed to be spent acting out.
Yeah, and you can
the battle,
almost
rolling dice
die
and
during
dumping
this
tabletops.
fucking
But
like this is like
after this battle is
a
over, the final chapter of the game, called The Day of Division,
this is
will
a
kick
body
off.
check for the
And this,
game.
ladies and gentlemen, is the moment we've all been
Holy
waiting
shit,
for.
that's nice.
Act 3 almost entirely revolves around the franchise's Lovecraftian elements, and explores this stuff arguably more than the rest of the games combined. So, without further ado, let's get further. As the communities of Massachusetts lick their wounds and begin the slow process of recovery, they're aided by the onset of spring. The worst of winter is over, and Boston has made it. After roaming the countryside for a bit and aiding in the Commonwealth's recovery, a child of Adam by the name of Brother Lucius, no, not Uncle Lucius, will track down the players and deliver a message. Well, an Adamite, he doesn't serve the last son of Adam. No, he has come to the heroes as an emissary of Mother Isolde.
Ooh.
Yeah, that one. The leader of a peaceful congregation of
She's crazy, but she's a good person. I think. I'm pretty sure she was decent.
Adamites who reside at a crater in the glowing sea. The messenger explains that Isolde and her community...
This is why I have conflicted opinions about the Adamites. Because in Diablo... yeah, I am thinking about Diablo 4. In Fallout 3, the Adamites in Megaton, they were peaceful. And, he didn't necessarily like that you defused the bomb, but they were generally peaceful folk, and I appreciated that about them. New Vegas, Children of Adam, New Vegas. I don't remember about the ones in New Vegas right now, but I didn't like the ones like the ones in the Nucleus. They gave me the fucking creeps. Not all of them, but some of it, like, you know, like very, very cultish. Like it's a very well done faction. I almost wish that they were more involved in the main storyline of Fallout, at least Fallout 4. Besides the Nucleus, I mean, like, they had, instead of maybe the Institute, like, you've got to navigate the ins and outs of the cult of Adam, like the Sons of Adam, like all of their various factions, and you would have to bring them together under one or the other, like are you murder hobo, like Adam is everything, like down with the normies, or like, you know, like, look, man, like there's enough radiation going on right now. We don't need another division. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's try to do something better. And you could probably foil the plans of a lot of different other factions by helping the Sons, or the Sons of Adam, not be turds. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get creative about it.
possess vital intel on the last son and his movements. They know his exact whereabouts and claim to have the key to stopping him.
Maybe you get them to help out the synths too. Like, you know, maybe they understand, like, you know, like the light of Adam exists within synths as well as with all living things. Because synths are living things. Because you can eat them. Far Harbor established that you can eat synths.
Unfortunately, they can't risk just putting all that data in the hands of one lone messenger. So, Isolde invites us to her crater, where she promises to reveal all she knows. This begins the quest into the glowing sea. The Overseer is instructed to have the players prepare, engaging in all sorts of side quests to get the necessary Rad-X or hazmat suits you need to survive the glowing sea's harsh conditions. But once that's all said and done, we set out for the same crater of Adam that we know and love from Fallout 4. Upon our arrival, Mother Isolde will greet us and tell the players what she knows. Evidently, this mysterious last son of Adam character is a man named Adam Waitley, who hails from the Capital Wasteland. He supposedly spent years working in labs, presumably at Rivet City or on behalf of the Enclave, before meeting Megaton's confessor Cromwell and becoming a member of the Children of Adam. Mr. Whately was always an egotistical and somewhat disturbed man. Soon after his conversion, he began having dark dreams of power and of a buried city in the wasteland that called to him. He left Megaton to search for this legendary place. Eventually, Adam found himself at the edges of the glowing sea and joined Mother Isolde's congregation for a short time. Isolde mentions that she was suspicious of him from the start and regrets ever trusting him into her group. He would often launch into unsolicited tirades about his own greatness and his destiny, and was known to be a heavy chem user. In an effort to keep tabs on him, Mother Isolde had her daughter, a woman named Sister Dawn, befriend Mr. Whately and keep tabs on his activities. Unfortunately, said daughter soon became enamored by the man and started buying into his nonsense. Against all odds, Whately eventually discovered his ancient city in the glowing sea, buried beneath a pre-war military installation, and he decided to leave Isolde's group to excavate that site. That was the last Isolde saw of the man, but unfortunately, her daughter, still under his spell, left to join him. The mother claims that Adam ended up experimenting on her daughter and transformed Sister Dawn into a 30-foot-tall, feral glowing one ghoul who now wanders around the glowing sea, feasting on civilians. Something which Mother Isolde is very upset about. Upon receiving this intel, the quest, the Buried City, begins, and we are sent off to follow Isolde's directions to the site. Along the way, we also can take care of the unfortunate daughter. Now, you'll note that Adam Whately's discovery of a buried city somewhat mirrors the story of Lorenzo Cabot, who, as we discussed in our Dunwich investigation, was a respected archaeologist in the 1800s, who after a series of bizarre dreams set out to hunt for a buried city in the Rub al-Khali desert of Arabia, believing that this lost city would contain proof of an ancient species that built civilization before the rise of man. Lorenzo would, like Adam Whately, ultimately find his buried city, and inside of it, a crown, which brought him immortality and also drove him insane. This second buried city beneath the glowing sea almost certainly belonged to the same civilization as Lorenzo's. And given the fact that Massachusetts is literally an ocean and a continent away from the Rub al-Khali, we can assume that whatever civilization built these sites must have had a somewhat global presence, right? But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's continue with the tale. Now, the buried city is, again, hidden beneath an old pre-war military base, known as the Whately Research Facility. Spoiler alert, it was actually set up by one of Adam Whately's ancestors, but I digress, we'll get into that. The base itself secretly lies beneath the ruins of a church northwest of Isolde's camp. Notably, this seems to be the exact same forgotten church that appears in Fallout 4. Though, sadly, we find no Eldritch secrets in the 2015 game. Here's how the book sets up the quest. Quote, directed to a military facility buried beneath the glowing sea, the player characters arrive just in time to confront the last son of Adam before he can enact his plan to bring about the Day of Division. Inside Whately Research Facility lie the remains of an insidious pre-war military chemical weapons test program, run by a mad cult leader, General John Whately, the last son's ancestor. A secret elevator in Whately's office leads deep beneath the earth to the excavated ruins of a city that predates known history. Filled with strange technologies that defy human understanding, the last son spent several weeks experimenting on his followers using the crystalline devices he found buried in the city. The devices' energy fields inflict the followers with vivid hallucinations, shattering their psyches and leaving them in a violent state. The last son barely clings to his sanity while he finishes integrating the device into his custom power armor so he might control it. When he returns to the surface, he plans to expand its energy fields to impact the minds of everyone in the region. End quote. As we enter the church, we take an elevator down to the old military site. It's a dark and ominous environment. Its nearly pitch-black, claustrophobic steel halls lead us to a reception desk, where the skeleton of a pre-war soldier rests. In the pockets of his ancient fatigues, we find a photograph of an old photograph of a young soldier posing with what seems to be a frightened bride beneath a dark obelisk. The implication being that General Whately and his troops worshipped whatever was at this place like a god, and seemed to have forced women into marriages to keep the troops happy. As we continue through the base, we are confronted with an assortment of mutants, and the last son's acolytes, who view us as very unwelcome guests. We also begin seeing strange, ancient-looking pillars and artifacts decorating the halls. In one room, we find various chemical canisters slapped with Voltec logos, implying that the pre-war company may have had some role in this installation as well. In another room, we find several cryopods, similar to the ones
All right, we have a plan for in the morning.
All of the people inside.
So real quick, so you can know what the hell's fucking going on in my life. Got some gummies for my mom that I need to take down the road tomorrow, and Miss Ashanti wants to hang out in around noon, so I can go and hang out with her, chill for a bit, and then she'll go and do her meeting that she has to do before she beds down for the evening, before she has to go to work, and I can get back here and be here for opening day for the Americas for Diablo 4. Yeah, have a plan. Yes, it's always nice to have a plan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Of them are dead, but in one lies the still-preserved corpse of General John Whately, whose hand we can chop off and use to trick a nearby fingerprint scanner into letting us into the General's office. And there we find even more strange sights. Now, this isn't explicitly elaborated upon by the book, but take a look at the artwork used to represent General Whately's office. Notice that little card in the bottom left. Embrace the atom. What on earth? This office was supposed to have been constructed well before the Great War, before the emergence of the Children of Adam as a serious organization. So why is it then that General Whately seemed to have been echoing or foreshadowing their beliefs so long before the bombs fell? Within the General's desk lies a King James Bible, and its pages have been furiously scribbled upon by the General, denouncing the book's lies and claiming that the only true God is the Black Star who dreams beneath. What on earth?
That's a new one.
Black Star who dreams beneath? This seems to be the name of whatever eldritch creature General Whately was worshipping. but it's quite new. Previously, in our last Dunwich video, I pointed out that the name Oog Qualtoth is often associated with Fallout's Lovecraftian lore. It's used in some of the game guides, and Obadiah Blackhall, an ancestor of the Dunwich Company, directly calls out to that name during a prayer in Point Lookout. Is the Black Star who dreams beneath another name for Oog Qualtoth? Or maybe, like in Lovecraft's own works, there could be multiple eldritch gods and beings working behind the scenes.
I think so.
Maybe there's a whole pantheon of cosmic horror creatures. But it's odd that the general specifically referred to this as being the only god. Also in the desk is a unique revolver called the Magnum Nomicon. Here's how the sourcebook describes the item. Quote, "This Magnum features a mix of heavy iron in its frame. Strange runes are engraved into its solid gold barrel. The Magnum's oversized grip is crafted from rough leather of a questionable origin. Tentacle-like symbols are etched into the leather's surface. Ammunition fired from the Magnum Nomicon becomes imbued with strange energies of an unidentified scientific
Magnum
origin.
Nomicon.
Commissioned by General John Whately,
That's-
this one-of-a-kind...
That's a game master's fever dream right there. Like that, like his artificer was like, what if we just combined it? Oh my god, I can just see it. I can see it now. Okay. All right.
Gun incorporates several teachings of his family. Most notably, to never raise up that which you are not prepared to put down. It must have been a weird coincidence that the gunsmiths involved in its creation died in mysterious accidents. This Magnum has the ability to resurrect defeated foes and have them serve the wielder for some time as thralls. Besides being an excellent mod idea, the Magnum Nomicon's name was clearly inspired by the Necronomicon, an eldritch book which is prominently featured in the writings of H.P. Lovecraft, and which we discussed in that Dunwich video earlier. Also, take a look at the artwork used to depict this item. It may just be a coincidence,
I may go down the road
but that
first.
same triangle symbol, which we see on the cultist totems, also appears here. Interesting. Now, upon turning on the General's computer, which is on his desk and somehow is still somewhat functional, a yes or no prompt will emerge, asking one question. Will you wake the dreamer? If you press no, a weeping Bolt Boy will briefly appear and the computer will shut down. However, if you press yes, a series of bizarre videos will play. The first displays a serpent devouring its own tail. The second depicts explosions flattening 13 historical landmarks across the globe. In the next, a group of black-robed individuals sacrifice an elderly man on an altar using a curved blade, probably an homage to Crimba's tooth, which we find at the bottom of Dunwich Borders. In the fourth, we see giant tentacles wrap around a dark obsidian obelisk. And finally, in the last horrifying film, a sunny family cookout is depicted, where everybody is laughing and smiling way too much. Alright,
Oh,
now
that's
let's
creepy.
once again pause right here. Speaking of people smiling too much, Fallout 76's most recent update, Mutation Invasion, introduced a strange new character who could be encountered randomly on the roads of Appalachia. A mysterious, well-dressed individual known as
Nice,
the
Jack.
Smiling Man. He lacks any significant dialogue and
something to do
only
with the
appears
moon?
as a random encounter, doing nothing but staring at the player with a very menacing and uncanny grin. When attacked, the man simply disappears before the player's eyes. While this character contains very little lore, he's clearly supernatural, and most members of the community seem to agree that he's likely associated with the broader Lovecraftian mystery that we've seen throughout the games. I wonder if there's a connection.
I mean, Mothman comes to
After
mind,
this
but
bizarre bunch of media plays, the floor of the office will suddenly rise and expose a secret elevator, which will take our heroes down into the ruins of the buried city. Now, here's where things get weird, as if they're not already. After a long descent to a pitch-black ground level, each of the player characters receives an extremely vivid hallucination. The Game Master is instructed to present these hallucinations as either windows into an alternate reality, or as just visions that the players are receiving. This is a clear nod to the strange visions players receive while exploring Dunwich horrors in Fallout 4 and the Dunwich building in Fallout 3. It seems that a trademark characteristic of elder civilizations in the franchise is their association with hallucinations and strange dreams and visions. You have to wonder, given that the military installation here was dedicated to chemical research, perhaps it was this effect they were necessarily studying. Maybe the US government of old was attempting to harness these strange hallucinations for their own benefit. There's no confirmation of this, but I suspect the Hallucinogen Corporation could also have been involved, given some of the products they produced.
yeah, but they were a failed company. They didn't really make anything work really well.
And the exact specifics of what
Sort
they
of.
see are left to the Game Master. Though the book encourages said Game Master to make these hallucinations.
Wasn't the weren't the test trials for the gases like catastrophic for the company and for the test subjects? Didn't they drive them absolutely bonkers?
Healing and tailor them to each character. So, for instance, say you have one guy in the group who's really obsessed with taps or something. That guy's trance may consist of him being brought to an alternate world where he's the richest man alive. Say you have another hero who, as a part of their lore, lost a spouse or a child. Their experience may have them reunite with that lost loved one. You get the idea. The point is to make these hallucinations desirable and tempting. Though, as they continue, the GM should also ensure that a sense of dread begins to build. The heroes should realize that something is off about their new fantasy. Maybe make the characters in their dreams seem really uncanny, or have everybody smile too much, or whatever. It's all up to the GM. It's at this point that players will be given a choice to either embrace.
It's funny because he mentioned it specifically at the beginning of the video that he would be referring to him, the GM, as the overseer, but he's been flipping back and forth the entire fucking video, just now. It's just funny.
Embrace this alternate reality and admit that they want to stay, which will result in the more dreadful elements of the fantasy fading and them being allowed to remain in their little paradise, or to acknowledge the illusion and willpower their way out of it so they may continue their hunt for the last son of Adam. Each player will get to make their decisions separately. Those who choose to remain in their dreams will get to exist in this false paradise, but their bodies will become enthralled by the eldritch forces beneath. For the purposes of this video, though, we're just going to assume that the whole group escapes and carries on.
Thank God.
As we push forward after these visions, the Game Master is instructed to read the following passage to the survivors. Quote, you find yourself in a tunnel dimly lit by iridescent crystals embedded into its jagged walls. The obsidian passage is nearly 20 feet wide, 12 feet high, and slopes steeply downward. The air is hot and choking without a breeze to it. Chisel marks
yeah, I would imagine
scar
so.
the
You're going
walls
down
and
into a
floor.
fucking
A few
volcano.
signs of human excavation remain. Broken tools, digging machines with battered drills, abandoned lanterns left unlit, and tracks of many footprints that zigzag through the dirt.
Or at least going through a lava tube or
recognizable
something,
voice
or,
begins to
an old
echo
lava
off the
tube.
walls, coming from somewhere lower in the tunnel. The last son of Adam's words sound strained and a little mad. Let's talk of graves, of worms and eulogies. Let's make atomic dust our sermon, and with rainy eyes write sorrow in the ruined ashes. For you have but mistook me all this while. I live with canned dog food like you. I feel want and taste grief, need friends. How can you say to me that I am a king? Says the booming voice. End the quote. Indeed, a sermon by Adam Whately is echoing through the halls. Though we don't get a good glimpse of the man just yet. We see drooling, zombie-like children of Adam and regular wastelanders huddled up in masses against the walls. But they're unresponsive. Their mouths are frothing, and their minds are likely in similar trances to the ones that our group just experienced. The tunnel halls eventually expose the ruins of a massive, ancient city, constructed mostly out of polished obsidian, with a great obelisk in the center, and an assortment of giant, tree trunk-sized tentacles wrapped around it, emerging from a nearby hole in the ground. In front of the obelisk, we spot a man delivering a sermon in a unique set of X-01 power armor. The helmet is transparent. His face is exposed and seems rather sickly. The armor is decorated with an assortment of Adamite symbols and contains a strange growing crystal device in the center.
Yeah, he's also got some fucking
him,
tentacles.
Adam Whately, the last son of Adam himself. The Game Master is instructed to read the following paragraph. The last son of Adam stands with his back turned to the obelisk, watching your group approach. He is mounted in dark, red steel power armor, painted with yellow atomic symbols. A fist-sized cluster of crystalline shards embed the last son's chest plate, glowing with the same light as the obelisk. A modified gamma blaster is attached to his hip. Bladed biomechanical tendrils hang from his steel arms. The last son's helmet is transparent, revealing most of his face. He looks gaunt and sickly. Most of his hair is fallen out, and dark circles ring his yellow eyes. The last son raises his hands with a peaceful gesture and addresses you in a calm, slightly strained voice. Welcome to the city of Adam, my persistent friends. I am certain you have many questions. Before you ask them, hear my offer. Is it not too late for you to know Adam's glow? End quote. It's at this point that our remaining heroes are able to engage in dialogue with the last son, as he attempts to justify his positions and convince us to join him in this unholy crusade. We are in turn able to ask him a few questions, and learn a bit more about this bizarre man in the process. Whately confirms that he was once a common wastelander from the DC area, who heard the call of Confessor Cromwell in Megaton and adopted Adam as his new god. Shortly after, he began dreaming of a powerful, crystalline device in a buried city, protected by a great, tentacled being. He claims that creature was calling to him, that the more he searched for it and the city, the more at peace he felt. He calls the tentacled abomination his literal brother, and goes so far as to refer to it as the first son of Adam. He plans to use the crystals he's found down here.
I mean, I understand what
now
it's referring
integrated
to and
into his
everything,
power armor
like
to grow his
the
flock.
Whateleys.
He intends to travel the wasteland from settlement to settlement, using his new eldritch items to brainwash thousands upon thousands of people into becoming his thralls with the visions we just experienced. Mr. Whately justifies this by claiming the faithful will be rewarded with an infinite paradise, allowed to spend eternity in their own personal heavens. But the players know these fantasies to be hollow. The Last Son also admits that he's dying. Decades of chem abuse and rat exposure have taken their toll, and he expects to pass away shortly after his victory. Though also believes that Atom will descend from the heavens and take over his body, guiding his flock into infinite universes after his death. Eventually, however, the Last Son will grow tired of talking, and demand that our heroes make their choice. Join his flock and spend eternity in paradise, or battle him now. If we choose the first option and agree to submit to the fantasies and visions, that will actually be a wrap to the game. Our heroes will get to embrace the eternal fantasy of their dreams while their mortal bodies become mere pawns in Adam Whately's sick schemes. In the epilogue, he will initiate his pilgrimage and slowly begin absorbing and decimating the settlements of the Commonwealth and beyond. The Game Master is given the freedom to kind of describe whatever consequences they please with this endgame. They can have fun with it. Maybe your flock makes it as far as the NCR, or maybe the Last Son and his zombie army are eventually defeated by an awkward alliance between the Brotherhood and Institute or whatever. Still though, with this choice, the game can just end if you choose to side with Adam. Alternatively, if our heroes opt to stand and fight, a dramatic final battle will begin, as the Last Son, that weird tentacle thing, and their zombie army all combine to stop our players. Much like in earlier battles, there are several ways we can win or lose this one. We can trick that weird tentacle thing into attacking Adam Whately. We can destroy the central obelisk, which will cause all the zombies to suddenly snap out of it. We can just land a good shot at the crystalline device in the power armor. Lots of ways to win. Consult your Game Master for more. The battle can also be lost if you don't play your cards right, but we're not going to go there. Nonetheless, it is possible for the players to either slay Adam Whately outright, or just beat him into submission to the point where he's too weak to continue resisting. At which point, the man will begin sobbing hysterically and express remorse for all that he's done, before his aforementioned illnesses finally get the better of him. But with our heroes' victory and the death of Adam Whately, the game is now over. The heroes have finally won. They have stopped the curse and saved the world. The Game Master is instructed to read this one final passage before sending players off. Quote, I assume this is supposed to be in some sort of Ron Perlman voice, but nonetheless, war never changes. During one long, deadly winter in the Commonwealth, its people fought desperately for their lives against a megalomaniac and his devoted cult. Settlements were pushed to the brink of ruin. Souls were lost to the twisted machinations of a buried god. Too many good people died, their hopes and dreams buried beneath the atomic ice. But ice thaws, snow melts, winter passes, spring always returns. And with it, fortune rises again in the ruins of old Boston. Settlers come and go as impermanent as the seasons, making way for new stories to be told in the nuclear wasteland. Only one thing is certain. Peace never lasts, and war never changes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap on the campaign. Now, technically, the game experience does not need to end here. The Game Master and their group of heroes can continue playing as long as they please, so long as you have a creative enough overseer. It provides some suggestions for how players can continue playing. It recommends that your group maybe investigate the consequences of their actions, return to old settlements, help rebuild. It even suggests that players could return to the buried city and try to excavate it, but it doesn't contain any specific directions or even any meaningful lore with that suggestion. It's all for the game master to come up with. The source book does contain some possible consequences of your actions. It has 5 specific points that I think are worth going through. 1, the USS Germination, now under new leadership and with the river ice thawed, manages to disembark from the land and prepares to set out to sea.
Oh, that's
Its
cool.
destination lies across the Atlantic Ocean to unknown lands. Another bullet point, the Mirage, assuming you were able to help it navigate its corruption and whatnot, hosts a grand going-away party for one night only, inviting all friendly groups in the Commonwealth to attend. During the event, they announce their intention to road trip south as far as the coast takes them. Bullet point number 3 addresses the fate of Beatsville. The commune of Beatsville votes to leave the Commonwealth and seek out the Chelsea Arts District in the ruins of fabled New York City. I got bad news for you kids. Chelsea is not an artsy place anymore. It's all $5,000 apart. Anyway, there they hope to find more like-minded people and build their commune anew. Point number 4.
I would very much like to visit New York and
Abbey
Fallout.
rebuild their defenses. They continue to do their best to support those living on the Commonwealth's fringes. The Sisters of the Forge melt down the unholy weapons and armor of the fallen children of Adam. They use the scrap to build a great monument for all those who perished during the winter. Finally, point number 5, despite strained relations between Mother Isolde's sect at the Crater of Adam and the other settlements, the children of Adam move about and trade freely. They sustain their isolated lives in the glowing sea, dedicating themselves to Atom's true glow. But yeah, there you go. That's pretty much where the source book ends. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone through the whole thing from the beginning to the end. This would normally take, several hours in a long-form tabletop D&D session, but we were able to take care of that in, an hour and 30 minutes, which I think is the first time I've actually been able to abridge one of these stories. But anyway, before we
that
head
was
out,
well done.
I'd like to sort of spend some time reflecting on this whole campaign and assessing what it means for the Fallout universe. The book itself does seem to be canon. I know whenever Bethesda creates a derivative work or something, there are all these people that rush to the forefront and say, that's not necessarily canon, but my suspicion is that this very much is all of the stuff from the previous...
It sounds canon. Because assuming that you do help everyone, it's still, like, Fallout 4 still happens, but you can see, no, that was nicely done, and in a different medium altogether, so you have just as much freedom to make the game's choices your own as possible. Well done, Bethesda and Modiphius.
Bethesda Fallout role-playing tabletop stuff was held to be canon. I see no reason why this would be any different. However, Bethesda and Modiphius were also careful to really leave the big important details up to the game master. It didn't reveal the details about that ancient buried city or the civilization that created it, only suggesting that it was made of obsidian and from a time long before the events of man. The name Wheatley itself seems to be directly inspired from the Wheatley family, which we read about in the writings of H.P. Lovecraft. They're specifically mentioned in one story, the Dunwich Horror, which, Dunwich Borers, you get the idea, wherein the Wheatleys are presented as this ancient clan of occult worshippers who have been protecting Eldritch secrets
way
in
too long.
Massachusetts
I
for
said
a long
Dunwich
time.
several
I
fucking
suspect
times.
the Wheatley family has a similar origin story. I'm also extremely intrigued by this suggestion that ancient elites were highly involved in the worship of these occult figures. We've discussed that possibility before in our investigation of the Dunwich mystery, but aside from
it would explain why we have it would explain why we have heads buried in the fucking in the earth that are just you know, they don't look like the aliens really, but they don't look like technically things. They look like ancient Egyptian or ancient elite type busts. And I don't know, man. Like there's definitely some shit going on.
General John Whately figure is pretty much the first person we know from the old world government to have been directly associated with these eldritch mysteries, and I bet he's not the only person either. The book also implies that the visions we get at Dunwich locations in the Fallout digital games are a consequence of direct proximity to these strange crystals that we've never seen before. I'm excited to see how they elaborate on that. But overall, from a narrative perspective, you know, I'm not somebody who plays tabletop that often, so I couldn't tell you how balanced or whatnot this experience is. Just from its narrative and lore, I was incredibly impressed by this book. The story they told was so unique, it tied so many things together, it was so fun. I couldn't help but be upset that this wasn't a Fallout 4 DLC or something.
Yeah.
I feel like this story would translate so well
It would have fit
into
right in.
expansion, or I don't know, maybe a modder could pull something like this off. Easily one of the greatest Fallout experiences I've ever read, so I highly recommend it. Again, link will be in the description down below to the full Modiphius book, so you guys could purchase it for yourselves and play with your friends or whatnot. But yeah, nothing but nice things to say about the writing of this story. As for the lore, we'll see what happens. If you've been following this channel or even just Fallout 76 lately, you know that Bethesda has been leaning more and more into its Lovecraftian and Eldritch themes over the last year or so. You know, all the new Fallout 76 expansions and DLC, it's all this sort of stuff. It's aliens, it's the Mothman cult, which, if you saw the Dunwich video, you know the Mothman cult are really worshipping the Eldritch entities. They're really leaning hard into this sort of segment, and I'm just so excited to see where it goes. I've never been this interested in Fallout storytelling ever before, and that's as somebody who's been a fan for gosh, well over a decade now. So, but anyway, guys, according to the premiere timeline, we have been talking for over an hour and 20 minutes. So I think it's time that we finally wrap up. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the lore update, sir.
Previous Dunwich investigation and our video on the Children of Adam, as this whole Winter of Adam board game is really what ties those two together, and watching those just makes this video and what we discuss so much more significant. And don't forget to check out War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicular combat and strategy game on the market, using my link in the description for a free bonus pack. War Thunder is available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC, and caters to whatever experience you're looking for. Also, huge thanks to Anachronite for helping me compile and organize much of this script. And as a completely unrelated side note / tangent, if any of you guys have a few hundred, or ideally maybe even a few thousand hours in the game Ark Survival Evolved, this is my Discord username appearing on screen. Please feel free to hit me up. I am desperate for a group of competent individuals to help me out in a hardcore session. But anyways, guys, aside from that, a little self-serving classified ad. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all enjoyed, and I hope to catch you all in my next video.
I hope it netted him some help.
Peace out, everyone.
All right. Yeah. So, in lieu of doing like several things, I thought that was more important and fairly in line with my channel covering video games in general, and sometimes Fallout in specifically. But yeah, I thought everyone might enjoy that. So we can go ahead and actually. Before, because I'm going to cut this video in a minute and go smoke a cigarette real quick before we jump into Diablo 4. I agree with the Epic Nate 315. That's a little awkward saying your name, brother. I agree that this I wish that this was available, like, in the video game. It feels like it definitely feels like material that came after the original game, or was like gestating while Fallout 4 was probably in development or something. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily feel tacked on, but it definitely feels like maybe it was ripped out, or these were certain clues that they definitely pulled out of the game so that they could put it somewhere else and add more mystery to the whole Eldritch Dark Lords angle that they're going for too. But I enjoyed the lore. I enjoyed, and it's canon, so it's a campaign that you can fit in your head, and you can imagine what you would do if you were romping around with these factions available to you. I am kind of angry that these weren't in the game, because they would have made a far more interesting fucking group of factions than some of the other ones that were God, man, like, come on, Bethesda. But yeah, thank you for joining me for, I guess, what we're calling not only a lore dive on a prequel to Fallout 4, but also a review on a Fallout 4 RPG as well. So thank you very much, the Epic Nate, for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, we can cut this one.